A fierce battle is underway, and Tang Yusung appears to be the last among the Murim alliance standing. Badly beaten and injured, he remembers how the leaders of Murim used him as a scapegoat against the enemy for their own escape. Battling against a powerful enemy named Cheonbong, Yusung remembers his father's teachings to be useless and was killed. Next, we see some visuals similar to a game loading. Yusung wakes up in his old room as a child. He thinks he is dead and doesn't take it seriously, but soon realizes something is wrong. He is now in a game called Murim Online, which is synced with his memories. The more missions you complete, the more you level up. The game now begins from his past. It is then explained by Yusung that the Cheonbong military school was the second biggest in Murim. Due to the alliance, there was peace in Murim for 100 years. He further explained how people were classified based on their wealth, power, and talents. The elite ones were called people of the golden spoon. The middle-class ones were known as people of the silver spoon. And finally, the lower-class ones were referred to as people of the wooden spoon. Yusung was from the lower class, and his father had worked hard to collect his registration fee for the Cheonbong school. We see that Yusung remembered the entry test he gave in his past life. He amazed the headmaster, Cheon Taegong, and is now prepared to take the test. It is then explained by the master that the dolls used in the test are infused with spiritual energy that makes them act like a real person for a while. Yusung has to locate and press all the blood points of the dolls to pass the test. The master had no hopes of any student passing as the test was difficult. Well, he was wrong. Next, we see 3 of these dolls attack Yusung simultaneously. Just then, he remembered the techniques he'd learned when he was an adult and used them against the dolls. The masters were surprised as he used osteopathic methods to defeat the dolls. He successfully passed the test and hence completed his first mission. He gained strength as a reward, and some bonus awards appeared in front of him as well. Yusung chose the Eye of Wisdom as his skill. He then meets Zhang Gihu, who had passed the test as well. Yusung remembered him from his time as Zhang was a genius in his time. Yusung was also now able to see levels above each person's head thanks to his skill. Just then, another candidate enters who had passed the test. It was no other than Cheon Soso, the daughter of the headmaster. As they get along, well, not so much, the masters enter. They explain there is an induction ceremony tomorrow and that 2 other students had passed other than them. Next, we see both Yusung and Zhang are late. Zhang challenges Yusung to spar, and an emergency mission pops up in front of Yusung, telling him to spar with Zhang. Yusung remembers when he was a novice. He spent 3 months reading about martial arts and the yin and yang in the Cheonbong library. We see that he prepares to complete the emergency mission and fight Yang. In front of Zhang, his years of experience from his past life was of no use. This was because his body was still weak. We see tough sparring, however, Yusung loses. As a penalty, his physical strength became 0 for 1 hour, and he blacked out. Next, we see Yusung gains consciousness, and his master is standing in front of him. He instructs Yusung to do 100 laps of duck walks. Yusung competes with Zhang in completing the laps, but uses all of his strength and blacks out again. He wakes up and sees Soso standing there. After a bit of chit-chat, she tells him that he and Zhang are called into the mentor's office. Over there, Zhang and Yusung are punished for being late, and now they have to do 500 laps of duck walks. After a while, we see Yusung decides to train in the training fields. Some people then approach him. Next, we see a flashback of Yusung being beaten by the person who approached him. He is Gong Jindo, in charge of the school clan and family gatherings within the military. This time, however, Gong didn't beat him up for using his sword. This was because Yusung came in first place in the entry test. Yusung remembered the cruelty of Gong on lower-class students. After an exchange of dialogue, Yusung leaves. He decides to train hard and gain strength to beat Zhang. Next, we see his master Ma Peng advised him to learn spiritual energy techniques to beat Zhang. Yusung will now train with him. We see Yusung learning perseverance to increase spiritual energy. Ma Peng demonstrates his spiritual energy by destroying a tree with his kick. Just then, Soso is passing by and is called by Ma Peng. She also demonstrates the use of spiritual energy and shatters a rock wall. Yusung is amazed by their strengths. Next, we see Soso and Yusung heading to their next class, but just then, they cross paths with Gong. Gong tries to attack Yusung in his vital spot, but Soso deflects it. What a cheap bully. Yusung has a new mission to defeat Gong, and he now prepares to battle him. We see that Gong was using the Qiang style of martial arts. Yusung accurately predicted his attacks and was easily able to evade them. This intimidated Gong, and he kept on attacking. Waiting for the right moment, Yusung countered Gong's attack and successfully landed a strike infused with spiritual energy. He successfully defeated Gong. Soso is surprised by Yusung's strength. Yusung feels proud of this accomplishment. We then see a trainee named Yang Wing who had joined the Qiang military school because of his love for martial arts. Unlike most students, he enjoyed studying it rather than training for it. One day at the library, Yu-sung saw him and remembered they were friends in his past life. Yu-sung became friends with him. We then see how Yu-sung completely changed Yong's life. He motivated him to work hard and actually enjoy training rather than just acquiring knowledge. Just then, Yong bumps into a stranger who appeared to be dangerous. The next day, Yu-sung claimed that since he beat Gong, he replaced his position as one of the Samyongbons. It was a term to refer to the strongest people who passed the test. The headmaster says to Yu-sung that he has high expectations from him. Yu-sung, along with all the direct disciples, is now assigned an escort mission to the windless country. Yu-sung remembers from his past life that whoever went to that country died. He came up with a cheeky strategy to complete this mission. Meanwhile, he crossed paths with the same people who bumped into Yong. Yu-sung recognized them as they were the red plum blossoms from the Hwasan sector. One of them was Yong Charang, someone Yu-sung had not thought of meeting so early. After some exchange of dialogue, Yu-sung rushed to find Yong as he was missing. Yu-sung feared that Yong may have bumped into these people. He arrived at the place they used to meet at in his past life, which was the outskirts of Marim. Yu-sung saw Yong tied in a house. As he was about to open the door, a crossbow shot was fired. The bullies of Gong had trapped Yu-sung. Meanwhile, Gong is seen complaining to the headmaster that Yu-sung and Yong had stolen the important documents because they are poor. He tried to frame them. Just then, Yong Charang arrived. Back on the outskirts, Yong Charang's partner saves Yu-sung. It is then shown when Yong bumped into Yong Charang, he offered them to stay at his house for the night. In the morning when they were leaving, they saw Gong's men carrying the important documents and money to Yong's house. Yong Charang explains this to the headmaster while also stating his purpose for the visit. He visited because the headmaster had once come to the Hwasan sector and asked him to battle his direct disciple, an infinite matchup. The headmaster was ashamed of Gong's actions. He instructed Gong to battle Yong Charang. Just when the battle began, Yong Charang immediately cut off Gong's hand. Maman chopped it off like an onion. After this fight, the infinite matchup became a serious fight against the Hwasan sector. Master Ma Peng told Yu-sung to go and battle Yong Charang. Immediately a mission popped up and Yu-sung now had to defeat him. Meanwhile, Yong Charang had already defeated 10 direct disciples of the Cheong school. Even Soso was having a tough time against him. As the fight continued, Soso attacked with her strong spiritual energy attacks, breaking through the floor and wooden sword. However, Yong Charang countered using the 14-hand special technique of the plum blossoms. Soso was injured. She stood up again and tried using an incomplete secret Cheong technique. However, it was clumsy and she was defeated. She got wrecked. Yu-sung now stood in front of Yong Charang. Up next, we see Myong-jin, Yong Charang's partner, and Jong arrive at the battle. Yong Charang decided to take some rest. In the meantime, Jong and Myong started their battle. Myong was fighting without a wooden sword. Using his plum heart blossom techniques, he internally damaged Jang, and it depleted his power. However, Jang was also successful in landing a few blows. A heated battle was taking place. Myong was now using a long stick to fight Jang. It is explained by Yong Charang that Myong was unable to learn how to use a sword, hence his fighting style is different than other plum blossom sword arts. Meanwhile, Jang struggles against the fierce and strong Myong. He kept losing his strength, and he was bleeding from his nose as well. But just then, he suddenly powered up and used Fist of Crouching Tiger. With just one hit, the fight was over. He defeated Myong. Even after being severely injured, he wanted to fight Yong Charang. Yu-sung knocked him out and asked him to rest. Yu-sung could now also see his own stats. Next, we see the journey of Yu-sung's training to increase his level. He now prepared to fight against Yong Charang. Initiating the fight and attacking with speed, Yu-sung was initially giving a tough time to Yong Charang. He also acquired a new ability by knocking out Jang because it completed his mission of defeating him. Just when Yu-sung thought he had a chance, Yong Charang overpowered him and successfully landed a blow on his left shoulder. Yu-sung then remembers how a cultivator came into the Hwasan sector and killed all of the Hwasan masters. He also wrote a book on the destruction of the Hwasan sector. He remembered the genius who countered the measures of this book and revived the Hwasan sect. He was none other than Yong Charang. Back in the fight, Yu-sung was struggling with his injured left hand. But just then, he created an opening by catching Yong Charang's sword and giving him a critical hit in the balls. Yu-sung destroyed his manhood in one hit. However, Yu-sung was also struck by him in the head. A message popped up that he had won the fight. An angered Yong Charang picked up a real sword and wanted to just kill Yu-sung. Next, we see Yu-sung wakes up covered in bandages along with Soso. They are called to the government office. The headmaster revealed that Yu-sung had damaged one of Yong Charang's eggs. Soso couldn't control her laughter. Even I can't, haha. Yusung was relieved when he heard that he can still function with one. They are now given orders to guard the carriage going to the Hwasan sector, and Yusung is told to apologize to young Chorang. This is his new mission. When he comes out of the office, he sees how popular he has become. Jang and Soso are now ready to accompany him in the carriage guard, especially Jang, as he wants to fight everyone there. This knucklehead reminds me of Goku lol. Yusung then heads to the transport department. They had cancelled Yusung's request and decided to take the commission of the Plum Blossom Swordsman of the Hwasan Mountain. Yusung was desperate to complete his mission, so he tried something. He asked the transport department guy to transport his bag of coins back to him there and then for 1 niang. The guy agreed, and in this way, his mission was complete. He received the inventory award. Just outside, Gong was standing and plotting something against Yusung. Just then, Yusung humbled him, and upon attacking, Yusung punched him to the ground. Yusung opened his inventory and hatched a spirit animal, specifically a cat. Just then, he was approached by the district safety officer. After confirming his identity, they apologized and took away Gong for his behavior. Yusung had a meeting with the inspector of Shanxi province. He asked him for a favor and also gave him expensive alcohol. Turns out the cat loved drinking alcohol. Yusung's father asked him to name the cat Juju because of his alcohol consumption. A drunk spirit animal, yeah. What could possibly go wrong? Next, we see the time of autumn is here and Yusung prepares to leave for Hwasan. It is then explained the escort mission is an event held by the military officer of Cheonbong. As their first practical mission, the direct disciples and candidates now prepared for the journey. The headmaster and transport agency master had a conversation about Soso and Yusung. After a while, the responsibility to carry the heavy flag is given to Yusung. He proudly carries it as it is part of his training, he claimed. He both gains and loses points for behavior and task completion. Next, we see Yusung carrying out his duties in the escort very nicely, knowing multiple skills such as sewing torn shoes, setting up camps, and making food. He impresses the chief of transportation, who is giving him points. After 9 days, the chief asks him at night about the secret of doing everything so efficiently. Yusung tells him about a book he is reading. They also share some good wine. Just then, using a transmission technique, someone whispered to Yusung. His new mission is to use the whisper skill. Apparently, it's someone from the safety officer's men. They give him a firecracker as a signal to alert the nearby stationed inspector troops, in case anything goes wrong. The party now reaches the campsite near Hwasan Mountain. Jang goes off to catch rabbits, as Yusung makes a very good rabbit soup. Meanwhile, Yusung and Soso are collecting mushrooms and edible items as they chat. Just then, a huge number of bandits appear from the bushes. It's an ambush. Due to the rain, the fire was extinguished and Yusung is not able to light the firecracker. Everyone was now prepared for battle and to protect the goods. A bloody battle unfolds. The bandits ruthlessly attack anyone in their sight. Yusung's new mission was to stop the surprise attack of the bandits. Yusung noticed no one was in the lead, and even the transport chief was busy in defending the attacks. He immediately called out to everyone and told them the enemy is weak. He instructed everyone to attack in formations and combinations. After a while, they started to gain the upper hand. The chief of the bandits was killed by an unknown fire attack. Yusung's firecracker also fired up, and now the inspector troops would arrive. Seeing all of this, the vice chief stepped into battle with Yusung. He was stronger and bigger than him. Yusung alone was unable to damage him, however. With the help of Jang and the others, they gained the upper hand. Yusung landed the final blow, chopping his head off. This scared the rest of the bandits and broke their spirits. Meanwhile, a man is seen from afar, drinking and observing the battle. In the aftermath of the battle, the remaining bandits were captured. Everyone, including the transport chief, thanked Yusung for his bravery in the battle. The chief announced that everyone who wants to continue must move forward and with caution to complete their mission. At the same time, Yusung remembers an important person from his past life. He was a drunkard, but also a very good leader. We see that he was fatally injured in a battle, and Yusung was devastated as they were close. The party, along with the goods, are now climbing on the Hwasan mountain. They are exhausted from climbing the steep mountain. As the cliff ends, it is seen that a path more dangerous begins. Yusung takes it as a challenge and reaches first while encouraging both Yang and Soso. At the peak, they are stopped by the Plum Blossom Master. After confirmation of visiting purposes, they ask the transport chief to place the goods near the cliff. Just then, one of the masters pushes the goods down the cliff. Everyone is shocked. The cargo of goods was only full of rocks. It is then revealed that this was a double transport tactic used by the Hwasan sect, using a decoy party to transport rocks, while another carriage using a different route transports the actual goods. The Hwasan students then tried to provoke a fight to take revenge for the defeat of Yongcharang. The chief tried to handle things swiftly, but just then Yu-sung responded and provoked a fight. He asked the chief to trust him. Myun-ho, the brother of Myong, decided to take revenge on Yu-sung. As the fight began, Yu-sung used the osteopathic bone fixation technique and struck him down. Flex 100. Yu-sung's action provoked all of the students in Hwasan Peak. Meanwhile, an elder is seen talking about Yongcharang and his strength to a Jinho. Jinho is the same drunkard leader Yu-sung mentioned a while ago. The elder asks Jinho to protect Yongcharang and guide him to the correct path. Meanwhile, Yu-sung defeats all of the disciples of the Hwasan Peak. Now Myong steps up and readies for battle. Just when Yu-sung evaded his attack and counterattacked, Myong countered it back. Has something terrible happened to Yu-sung? Up next, we observe that Yu-sung evaded his attack, but was a little injured. As they continued their fight, Yu-sung depleted most of his stamina, and now he went through a process of body enhancement. His speed reached a new level and he completely overpowered Myong. Just then, an angry Yongcharang arrived, and Yu-sung was nervous and scared. Jung steps up to face Yongcharang as he was unable to fight him before. However, Yongcharang is not interested in fighting him. Just then, Jung forcefully initiates a fight. A duel unfolds, and Jung uses his Tiger Strike technique. However, it was of no use. Yongcharang completely overpowered him. He then rushed towards Yu-sung to end him in one strike, but he was stopped by Jinho. Jinho says to Yongcharang that it's enough. Jinho tries to calm him down, but due to his arrogance and desire to take revenge, he was not listening to Jinho. Just then, Minho used his fire control and forcefully took his sword away. Jinho disciplined him in front of everyone. Meanwhile, Yu-sung had a friendly conversation with Jinho. Yu-sung apologized to Yongcharang to complete his mission. He also used the whisper technique by accident and said he didn't apologize sincerely. This mission was completed as well. Yongcharang was disappointed and said he will take his revenge one day. The transport party and everyone else goes down the mountain to return home. Yu-sung sees the lively laughter of everyone around him and feels at peace. Meanwhile, the transport chief is worried about telling the headmaster about the cancellation of his daughter, Soso's marriage proposal in the Hwasan sect. The team now arrives back. Yu-sung carefully examined all of his newly unlocked skills and rewards on the way back. He now plans to utilize his QI activation skill. Just after reaching back, he immediately started to meditate and train. Soso saw him and came to have a conversation. Yu-sung claims that he will become the best in the world. Soso laughs, but she agrees with him. Meanwhile, a mysterious man is shown sitting on a cliff staring at the clouds. The result after many mock tests for the exams and the escort has come out. Yu-sung is in the first place. Following him is Jang and then Soso. In fourth place is Gong. We then see that Gong asked Soso out on a date with him. Soso claimed that since he could not go to the university hall because of coming in fourth place, he wanted to use her. Gong is angry and disappointed. He blames Yu-sung for all of this. Meanwhile, Yu-sung returns home. He warns his father to not go to the Uchon village tomorrow. He claims that if he goes there, he will die. His father slaps him hard. The next day, Yu-sung accompanies his father to this town. It is explained that this town is covered in sewage, filth, and dirt. It appears his father goes to a house to help a family. As they enter their home, a dangerous guy is seen trying to take away the kids. Yu-sung thinks this is the man who killed his father in his past life. Just then, Yu-sung and his father are surrounded by more guys. They provoked Yu-sung and suddenly he cuts the man holding his father in half and immediately strikes another guy. The cat attacks as well. That is a badass cat, I tell you. After defeating all of them, it is revealed that they are members of an organization called the Black Snake Gang. They attack small villages and loot them. They also kidnap the children and sell them to adults. We then see in a nearby village the Black Snake Gang has attacked and captured all of the children. As they were laughing and celebrating, Yu-sung beheaded one of them. A battle is about to unfold. Counting all the black snakes he kills, Yu-sung eliminates everyone counting to 19. Only one member was left, who ran to a man standing nearby, who appeared to be their boss. However, he kills the last man. He asks Yu-sung not to be grateful as he didn't like these guys either. Yu-sung readies his weapon against him, but the man says he doesn't want to fight him. Yu-sung is amazed by his abnormally high stamina and agility. The man correctly identifies Yu-sung and asks him to work with him. He then disappears, saying to honor this meeting, he will take care of the remains of these Black Snake members. Yu-sung remembers that he is a member of a forgotten clan. He will be the future husband of Soso and the next king of the Demon Clan. Next, we see Yu-sung save the children, and his father is proud of him. A new mission pops up, which is to defeat the remaining members of the Black Snake Gang. They were a total of 37. Just then, the numbers automatically started to rise, and suddenly the mission was complete. Yu-sung was shocked. Seeing how that guy defeated all of the remaining members of the Black Snake organization, Yu-sung felt the need to grow even stronger. Yu-sung then leads all of the children out of the wasted city. He takes them to the transportation chief. The chief welcomes all the children and asks Yu-sung to occasionally visit the children and be their teacher. Yu-sung happily accepts and encourages all of them to work hard and become good students. Yu-sung is happy of his new life. After comparing his old life, he was excited about how he changed his path, and now he is motivated to achieve even more. Next, we see that winter has arrived. Yu-sung and So-so aim to become the best in the world. So-so explains she doesn't want to be married off to just anyone, which is why she wants to become a master. Yu-sung explains that he will become the best in the world because it is exciting. So-so laughs at his thoughts. Meanwhile, Yu-sung plans on going to the Jeongnam-san mountain with the senior trainees. It is for an evaluation. Jang and So-so plan on going there as well. Meanwhile, Yu-sung is walking while seeing his award for bag storage. The spirit cat can also be stored in that bag. Yu-sung suddenly trips on something and falls down. It is an old man over the age of 100, sleeping on the path. Yu-sung felt bad leaving him there. He woke him up and asked him to accompany him. The old man also wanted to go to the Jeongnam-san mountains. Yu-sung thought he could kill two birds with one stone, as a new mission to take the old man to the mountain had popped up. He asked the old man to climb on his back, and they proceeded with the journey. The old man thought to himself that he was actually not a homeless person, and that when he was laying there, no one helped him. He thought this boy was different, and so he decided to test him. The old man examined Yu-sung's body and was amazed. The type of body Yu-sung had was very unique and can't even be seen once in 100 years. Yu-sung started sprinting and asked the old man to hold tight. The old man wanted to test his strength, so he increased his weight by 6 kilograms. Yu-sung did not even notice it. The old man kept on adding and adding weight. When the old man had increased it by 540 kilograms, Yu-sung slowed down. But then, he smiled and said he should increase it by 100. The old man laughed and said he can have his way. After pushing out each and every strength from his body, Yu-sung made it to their destination. With blood coming out from his nose, he passed away from exhaustion. The old man set up a camp and fire and waited for him to wake up. He was surprised by the strength of this boy. Yu-sung wakes up and sees the old man. They have a conversation about the identity of the old man. He is a master, and his old stats seen by Yu-sung were fake. Just then, the old man told Yu-sung he had been sleeping for 2.5 days. Yu-sung was shocked and checked the mission timer. It was only 1 hour left. He tried to hurry the old man as the destination was not so far away. But just then, the old man left as he saw someone coming. Yu-sung shouts and screams in anger. Yu-sung tried running after the old man, but it was no use. He takes out the spirit cat and decides to feed it. Just then, the man from Uchon City appears in front of him. He had instantly wiped out all the remaining Black Snake members, so Yu-sung was tensed. The man asked Yu-sung if he had seen a guy in black clothes pass by. Yu-sung understood that it was the same man the old man went after. He told him the direction. After a conversation with him, he takes some food from Yu-sung. Just then, Yu-sung faces the penalty for not completing the mission. It was continuous abnormal shocks. The cat helped him ease the pain. The man disappeared and Yu-sung continued with his journey.
Hey there, subscribe for part 2.